Quasi here, and in this video, I want to share with you why you don't feel good enough and why you constantly keep doubting yourself and you always seemingly have all of these obstacles that keep showing up every single time you want to move towards your goal. By the end of this video, I want to share with you 3 big problems that lead you to not feeling good enough, that cause all of these problems, but also the solutions to these 3 problems. So please stick around to the very end because I do think this is going to be very valuable for you. Before I begin this video, I want to quickly announce that I made a brand new identity shifting bootcamp for you. It's a 5-video series where you'll get a lot of awesome value from 5 top videos from the channel. So just click on the link in the description to put in your email address and get the bootcamp directly emailed to you. And with that, let's get started. So today I want to talk to you about how you can feel good enough and why you don't feel good enough. And why do I want to talk about this topic? Well, essentially, I've seen that throughout this journey, every single time I've moved forward, there was always these doubts. I would always think about the next goal and the next project I would do, but then I would start to judge myself about it, like, oh no, should I do this or should I do that? And there was just a lot of questions that arose around it, right? And this doubt made me procrastinate, and it made me overthink things, and it just led to a lot of inaction, a lot of hesitation. And this hesitation was a big killer for me in my business, right? So I want to share with you how you can get control of yourself and understand what's really going on so that you can just effortlessly go out there and do what you want, right? And what I've found is that there are essentially 3 big problems that lead you to feeling this way, not feeling good enough about yourself, constantly judging yourself, constantly demanding more from yourself. The number one thing is social conditioning. Okay, let's talk about what I mean by that. By social conditioning, I mean it's how you've been conditioned, what you've seen around you. So most people think that, oh yeah, the social conditioning is just a 9 to 5, like where I feel like I have to do a job. That's a huge one, right? Society tells you that this is what you should do, and the mind buys into that idea. And the mind is insistent on that. So it's like, okay, well, this is what you should do. Anything else is going out of what you should be doing. You should have this secure, stable career at the expense of going towards what you truly want to experience, your heart's desires, right? So when you get into social conditioning, you sort of sacrifice your heart's desires, what you would truly want to experience and move towards. And when you do that, then you obviously will never feel good enough. You always feel that there are these obstacles. You're always grinding against something. Even if you had a gun to your head for the rest of your life and you were told to do something that you don't enjoy, even then it would be impossible because it wasn't meant for you. Like this path, if you weren't meant to do it, it wasn't meant for you. And then people get into business and then they find these business ideas. They're like, oh, everyone else is doing this business idea. Everyone else is in this niche of coaching, so I should get into this as well. This is where the money is. The mind follows the money, but the heart doesn't understand money. It understands what money can buy and the freedom it can unlock for you, but it doesn't understand the concept of money, but the mind keeps chasing it, right? So even then you can get into this social conditioning trap. That's the number one problem, and we're going to get into the solution in a second. The number 2 biggest problem is the comparison trap. Okay, what do I mean by that? Well, the comparison trap is what you fall into when you start to compare yourself and size it up against other people. So to give you an example, maybe you've joined programs, maybe you've joined other courses and you've seen other people getting really, really successful. And then you're like, why can't I do it? That person did it. What is this person doing? I'm going to do what this person is doing. While that's great, it still doesn't account for the fact that you are going your own journey. You're assuming that these 2 journeys are the same just because you're in the same program. That's still not the case. Even when I joined all of these mentorship programs to teach me how to grow my business, I still had to apply my unique realizations, intuitively understand what I can take away, what pieces I can take away from these programs, from what I've learned, and apply it to myself based on what my heart really wants, right? Like there's the heart and there's the mind, let's call this the brain. You should always prioritize this first, because if you prioritize your heart first and do what you love, work will come naturally to you. If you do what you want to do every single day and it just feels like you're playing a game, you're going to always want to do it, right? So instead, what we do is we prioritize this first. We start to question it. We're like, will this make me money? Will this endeavor, bring me this and bring me that? There's a reason why people say that do what you love, the money will follow. Because if you always prioritize doing something that you love, the money will be a natural, it'll accompany it to support you in this journey to getting to where you want to get to with what you love, right? So if you look at people like Elon Musk, if you look at people like Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk has a deep love for getting people to Mars, right? So he did the PayPal venture and all of those because he enjoyed building things and solving problems. It's not the money that he focuses on. He never focuses on the money. Like all of these rich people, they don't really focus on money. They focus on what they love to do. And then as a secondary motive, they focus on monetizing that, how they can make that profitable so that that money can support what they're wanting to build ultimately. For Elon Musk, it was wanting to build, SpaceX. He took so much losses for years and years before he could get to a point where he could sustain it and do what he wanted to do. So most people think about it as, oh, I need to make this money. Why do they need to make this money? Oh, so I can buy this, this, and this. And that's great. If you at least know why you want to make money in that first step, now you can move on up with that. But if you want to get to a certain level of money, like if you want to make multi-millions and multi-billions, you've got to know why you really want that. There's got to be a good enough reason for that, or else you won't have a motive to move forward towards that, right? So that's the comparison trap. When you start to compare yourself against someone else, and when you prioritize your brain and what you think you should be doing, what's the right thing to do to make money, instead of what you actually want to do, okay? Number 3, and this is a crucial one, is reactivity. And this is when you'll know that you actually don't feel good enough. So reactivity and lack of consciousness, unconscious. So what do I mean by this? Examine your behavior for a second. Every time something happens that challenges your self-worth, what's your immediate reaction to that? How do you immediately react when something challenges your self-worth? For example, for me, when I started this business and I got a certain level of success, I became identified with that. Okay, anytime someone would, come and have more subscribers than me or start making more money than me, I would get offended by that. Like I would have a reaction to that. I would react to that. I'd be like, oh, well, this person's making more money because of this. And I would try to justify that. I would try to give myself an excuse for being where I'm at, just so I feel good about myself. Instead of, just looking at the other person being like, that's great for them. That's awesome. Instead of feeling good about this other person, I would try to size myself up, again, comparing myself with this other person. Another thing that happened was I would have problems where I wouldn't feel good about myself. Instead of giving myself permission to not feel good, instead of letting myself feel down, I'd be like, oh, no, I shouldn't be feeling this way. I'm this mindset coach that coaches all of these people and has all of these clients. Oh, no, I shouldn't be feeling this way. This then built up this resistance. My immediate reaction was tied into, defending my self-worth, right? So all of these rationalizations that I had when I was trying to defend myself was all me being reactive because I identified with a certain version of myself, okay? This is how your identifications can inevitably lead to your ruin, because you start to create these things where you don't allow life to take its own path to give you what you want. You get identified to what you think. Again, I think this is how I should get to my goal, so this is what it would happen. Oh, this didn't happen, man, everything's going to shit. Instead of accepting that you never know how it might happen. Your mind just doesn't know yet. So these are the 3 big problems that everyone goes through when they don't feel good enough. Okay, I'll do a quick recap before we get to the solution, just to make it really, really clear. Number 1 is falling into the social conditioning trap. Doubling down on your mind rather than your heart. And you start to think about what you should do and what you're supposed to do rather than what you really love to do, rather than what you really want to do. Please don't fall into this trap, because you always suffer, you'll always be miserable if you don't follow the path that was meant for you. And because you don't follow the path that was meant for you, you start to compare yourself against others in this game. You're playing a game that you don't like, and you start to compare yourself to other players that are playing this game who might actually like this game because this was meant for them, right? So you compare yourself to others in a game that you don't even like. And this creates more anxiety, more doubts, more fears within you because you're like, I should be doing this, when you shouldn't. What you should be doing is what you want to do. It's time to redefine that. So the social conditioning trap also makes you fall into the comparison trap. Because really think about it this way. If you were going your own path and you knew it, your own unique individual path, where is the need for comparison? This is your game. This is your unique path. No one else can be a better you than you can. So why compare yourself to others? It just wouldn't make sense. You're playing your own game. Unless and until you can completely play your own game, it'll always be a suffering. You will always suffer and have all of these obstacles on the path to your goals. And the third thing is basically how you can know that you are identifying with something that's sort of making you feel insecure. And it's that you always rush to defend your self-worth. When you start to compare yourself against other people, your immediate reaction is, oh, this person is doing this because they're that. Just like I did. Right? So now let's get to the 3 solutions to this. Solution number 1 to defeating the social conditioning trap is focusing on what you have and what you want. I think my pen is running out. So focus on what you have and what you want, instead of focusing on what you don't have and what you don't want. Most people focus on what they don't have right now. I'll give you another example of this. When I reached a certain revenue level in my business, when I hit my first 20K month, I was actually thinking about the 3 clients that I didn't get that would have made me reach the first 30K month. I was thinking about the 10K that I didn't get instead of the 20K that I got. So I was focusing on what I didn't have rather than what I did have, which were the already successful, already amazing clients that I'm working with. And what I want, amazing clients, better clients, right? So most people focus on, oh, I want to avoid this. I want to avoid failing. They focus more on, I want to avoid failing more than I want to go towards success. They focus more on, oh, I don't have this nice thing and this much money and this car or whatever, rather than I have this amazing place and amazing thing and I'm healthy and all of that, right? So when you start to focus on what you have and what you want, you get more of what you have and more of what you want. Whatever you focus on, you move towards. The essence of the social conditioning trap is you always look to others to see what you don't have. That's how it conditions you, right? That's how you beat that trap. You're always focused on what is it that I really want? What is it that I really love? That's how you override the mind and always place the heart first. Number 2, you've just got to realize your own unique journey. So how do you get rid of the comparison trap? Realize your own unique journey. The mind will always try to intercept, and it'll always try to say that it's supposed to happen like this and it's supposed to happen like that. Your own expectations of how things should be always fail you. Instead of accepting what is right now and accepting things as it comes, you start to place your own judgments on things. And whatever meaning you place on it, according to that, your life unfolds. So for example, if you wanted to grow your business from 5K a month to 20K a month, you go from 5K to 10K to 15K, and then you go back down to 5K. Now, to you, because you're so identified with getting to that 20K a month, because you're so identified with, what's like, you're so attached, there's so much meaning, so much importance to getting to that 20K a month. When the plans don't go your way, you're like, ah, shit. Someone's just thrown a spanner in the works. This isn't what's supposed to happen. And now you create this sort of thought energy that's attuned to what you don't want. And then you start to get more and more of those 5K months instead of moving up to the 20K months. So realize that your journey is unique. It's never going to be linear. You know, you might go up and then come down and then go up again and then come down a little bit and then go up. You never know what can happen. Just accept it. Accept it as it is and accept it as it comes. When you start to accept it and focus more on what you have and focus more on what you want, you move towards your thought energy goes to the other side of the fork. Because every time you have an event happen, there is the event and your attitude to the event, right? You have the two events, two corresponding events that could happen, and this one event, right? And your attitude to this event will determine whether or not you go one path or the other. One is the negative and one's the positive. If you're positive about it, you accept it, and you keep focusing on what you have and what you want, you'll go more towards that. You'll go to the favorable lifeline. As opposed to if you focus on the negative, you'll go to the undesirable outcome, undesirable lifeline. And more of bad things will start to happen. That's number 2. Number 3. When you get into this reactive frame of mind where you rush in to defend your sense of self-worth because you've put too much importance on a goal. You know, you put an importance on you being some mindset coach and having some amount of subscribers. And then when something challenges that, and inevitably will, because life will always show you, life will always try to knock you off your high horse. When you get challenged by that, instead of rushing to defend yourself, just acutely observe it. Have awareness. What do I mean by that? Let's say next time something happens that tests you and you feel the impulse to go and defend yourself. Just observe yourself. Instead of reacting, just observe that event, that feeling arising where you feel like you need to defend yourself. The thing with people who really feel good about themselves, who are really confident and certain in themselves, they never feel the need to justify themselves. They just go ahead and take what they want, right? Without being cocky and arrogant. They're neither cocky or arrogant, because if you're cocky, you're just unconfident deep down. You're actually insecure deep down. And this show of arrogance is actually covering up for an internal lack of confidence, internal lack of certainty. Truly confident, truly certain people don't need to do either one of those. They don't feel insecure, they don't feel cocky. They're beyond both. Because cockiness and and insecurity, they're both ends of the same spectrum, right? They're just two ends of the same scale. So you want to just ditch this whole scale altogether. Like, just to hell with the scale. Cancel it. You just focus on on yourself. You just focus on, okay, well, here I am. I'm neither cocky nor uncocky. I just am. You just acutely observe it next time a reaction comes up. And with that, I conclude this video. Thank you so much for watching. I sincerely hope this was helpful. Let's do a quick recap. Today we talked about how to feel good about yourself. And it might seem unrelated, but all of these things actually contribute finally to your actual self-worth. And the number one thing why you don't feel good enough is because you're always seeing what you should be doing, and you have these ideas as opposed to this feeling of what you actually should go towards. You'll know when you have that thing, because you can simply ask yourself, here's a test you can do. Can I keep doing this for the next 10 years of my life? Would I be willing to do this for the rest of my life? If the answer is yes, you probably found out what you really love to do. So number one, the biggest problem is social conditioning. You put your mind over your heart. You look for what you should be doing rather than what you want to be doing. Number two, you fall into the comparison trap. You're playing a game that's not yours, and you start to compare yourself to the players. You're playing a game you don't like to play, and you compare yourself to the players. That's not going to serve you either. Because if you truly play your own game, there is no comparison. No one can beat you at your game. Unless it's someone really good. Unless it's someone who can be better you than you, which is unlikely. Number three, being reactive and rushing to defend yourself. Truly confident people, truly certain people never feel the need to justify or defend themselves. They just are. And the three solutions we talked about are, number one, instead of focusing on what you don't have and what you don't want, focus instead on what you do have and what you do want. This will put you onto the favorable, positive lifelines on what you do want and give you more and more of that. Number two, realize your own unique journey. Instead of comparing yourself to other people, realize that your journey and your game is unique. The challenges that come in it are unique. You have to go through this to learn the lessons that you need to learn in order to grow. And number three, having awareness. Next time you rush to defend yourself, instead of acting, make the act to observe. Just simply observe and become acutely aware of what arises. What is the feeling that arises? What is this insecurity? And observe that. Just let it be and let it dissipate. And when that starts to happen, you'll see others will start to react much better to you because they can subconsciously tell when you need to defend yourself. They can tell that you're not really confident, that you're not really certain because you're defending yourself all the time. You're being reactive. And with that, I conclude this video. Thank you so much for watching. I sincerely hope this was helpful. If you're new to the channel, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and hit that little bell there so you're notified of any new video that I put out. And also, the consultation for the Reality Mastery Program is now open. Just click on the link in the description below to sign up for that. And it'll take you to a page where you can just click on a time and fill up a short survey to schedule a free call with us. Now, this free call isn't for everyone. It's only for those who are looking to work together seriously in an intimate setting to level up their businesses, to level up their lives. Who we typically work with are entrepreneurs who are, stuck at a certain revenue level in their businesses. They want to scale up, but they have the tactics, strategies. They know what to do, but they're seeing it's them. They have an internal obstacle. They have an internal barrier that they just can't see, or even if they can see, they don't know what to do about it. And that's what's keeping them stuck. They keep doubting themselves, they keep having fear, they keep overworking themselves, or they keep procrastinating. All of these things are symptoms of something deeper that's going on. If that sounds like you, click on the link to sign up. Let's see if we can help. And the free Facebook group is open for you to take advantage of. The link for that is also in the description. Thank you guys for watching. Until next time. Peace.